Hey guys, hope everybody's having a good day out there today, and welcome back to another edition of Mental Mondays. And I'm just here at the gym real quick, getting ready to go do my workout, and wanted to get today's Mental Monday. And actually, it's Sunday right now. I'm leaving Monday, which will be today when you see the video for our first day of practice for the Toyota Series tournament down at Grand Lake. I'll keep you guys updated on that. But anyway, if you guys are just tuning into the channel and you haven't seen a Mental Monday before, this is sort of a club, I consider it. They're not as popular as my regular videos, but we talk about a lot of stuff in life in general that doesn't. Some of it does, some of it may not have much to do with fishing, but it's sort of a nice little break from the daily hardcore hogging tips. But anyway, what I want to talk about today, this is sort of a topic I've been thinking about a lot lately. And that is people that are addicted to power. And I've been thinking about this a lot because we've seen such a rampant abuse of this and a rampant example of this over the past 4 or 5 years, especially all over the world. And it's something that has been going on in the human experience since the beginning of mankind. I mean, it's just, there's always been people that have abused power and have been addicted to power. There's been, most wars are fought over it, that type of stuff. But specifically what I wanted today is I want to talk about individuals that are addicted to power and how they're such a dark force on our planet in general. So I'll start out with, I'm going to talk about a wide range here, but a lot of different people are addicted to power. The primary examples are politicians, but then you have people in the business world, corporate America, you have religious leaders, small business owners. It could be anybody that has some type of addiction to power, and a lot of them share the same traits. But I wanted to address some of the overall characteristics of this and sort of give you my thoughts and opinions on it. I'll start out with my nemesis, and my example I always bring out is the coward war criminal Vladimir Putin. He's a prime example of somebody that's addicted to power and abuses power. And the thing about Putin, he is similar to a lot of other figures throughout the course of history, and in not only our country, but the planet as well today, of somebody that that is in a position of power that does not deserve to have that position of power. They don't possess the responsibility necessary to have power. But Putin and a lot of people, specifically politicians in general here, they have adopted one particular element that has allowed them to gain power, and it's prevalent today in our politics in this country and in other countries as well. And that's the fact that they've adopted Joseph Goebbels, basically his formula for getting Hitler to rise to power in Nazi Germany in the 1930s, and that was for a leader to come up with a big lie, repeat that lie over and over and over again, make the lie big, and eventually a segment of the population will start believing it. And that's how they rise to power. And that's how they get addicted to power and they abuse power. This has been an overwhelming thread of authoritarians and dictators throughout the last 150 years on this planet. They all use that technique. If you look back at almost anybody that has risen to power and abused that power, that's how they've done it, is through Joseph Goebbels' technique there. So that's one of the big things that we fight against a lot of the time here, is the fact that a lot of these people that are addicted to power, they are experts at misinformation, excuse me, and gaslighting. Disinformation, misinformation, and gaslighting are their tactics to get support. And it can be the same, like I said, it can be the same in a politician. It could be the same in like a religious leader. I mean, you have some mega church pastor out there that says, I've got this bottle of holy water I'm going to sell for $100. And it probably came out of some garden hose in Texas somewhere. Or, you may have CEOs in certain corporations that, they want certain legislation lobbied for, or they have an agenda they want to push. They get behind a certain politician. That politician basically gaslights and spreads information about, a particular piece of legislation. In return for, they promote their campaign, and it's a vicious cycle of gaining power through the profit, through the expense and pain of other people. And that's one of the things, the overwhelming things that I've seen about power in general, is that that a lot of people out there that are addicted and abuse power, they basically do it on the backs of other people. They gain power through basically the expense and pain of other people, power and profit, both. And they do that in ways that a lot of the people aren't even aware that they're doing it. And back to one of the biggest, problems that we have in our society today in general, more than ever, is the products of misinformation and disinformation. Misinformation is one of the top techniques of anybody out there that is seeking to gain power or to maintain power or to that have some addiction to it. And what it is, it's basically a situation where, up is down, down is up. It's like there's nothing that is in stone. Everything is muddied. The waters are just churned up all the time. I mean, you can sit there and you can look outside and say, oh, it's cloudy out here right now. And then you have somebody that, has figured out how to gaslight and misinform. They'll say, no, that's not cloud out there. It's sunny out there. What are you talking about? And somebody will sit there and they'll say, no, it's not. It's cloudy. Look at the clouds up there. And you'll spend all your time trying to prove to the fact that it's cloudy. And by the time that you made your point, they're already on to another lie. A lot of people out there that are addicted to power, one of the things I've seen is they are narcissists. They lie as easy as they breathe. They deny reality for the most part. And what they do is they control the narrative. And you will find out that most people that, that have narcissistic, authoritarian, dictatorship tendencies, or people like Vladimir Putin, or people that are known authoritarians, they control the narrative. For example, in Russia, they've got state-controlled TV, where everything that the Russian people see is basically what Vladimir Putin wants to see. Putin says they're on a peacekeeping mission in Ukraine, yet at the same time, they're bombing hospitals and killing little children over there. So they don't ever see that. All they see is the propaganda that's put out there. And most people that are in positions of power are masters at spreading propaganda. That's the tool that they work from. So the point of which is, what can you do about this as a society or as individuals? What can we do to deal with these people that are addicted to power at the expense of ourselves? The first thing we have to do as a society is we have to educate ourselves more, not to fall for misinformation. It's just like with the average Russian out there that gets all their news from one channel. That's what you can't do. It's like so many people in this country here, they get their news and information from one or two news sources. And those news sources may or may not have some type of agenda or message to spread. But what happens is if people get their information from just one or two sources all the time, they are not getting the full story a lot of times. So the best thing that you can do is educate yourself with a wide range of information. And you have to source that information out. If somebody says something to you on a news program, you can't take it for word. You have got to source that information out. If they have a news story, see how many different independent agencies have verified that same story. They just can't make a wild statement and expect you to believe it. But yet a lot of people do. But once you source the information out from a bunch of different independent agencies, and then you have this common thread that all of them lead to the same conclusions, you can pretty much guarantee that, whatever story is out there is true. Most people don't want to put that effort into it. And that's what people that are addicted to power, that is how they maintain it. They control the narrative, and they make everything else, they make, again, up is down, down is up. Another thing that they do out there is they discredit fact. It's like, if somebody disagrees with something that some type of an authoritarian figure, somebody addicted to power puts out there, if some type of an authoritarian or a narcissistic person pushes back on a challenge to them, they will do everything they can to discredit that particular source. They will lie about it, put out misinformation, they will demean it, they'll do everything they can to muddy the waters around that particular source. That's a typical tactic that they use. Same, like I said, not just in politics, but in everything. But I use politics because they're one of the prime examples of people that abuse power and are addicted to power. And politicians are one of the top groups of people that they sell their souls out to maintain power. They will sell their souls out. Some people will sell their souls out. They'll sell their country out. They'll sell their integrity out. They'll sell every aspect about their human beingness out to maintain and control power, because ultimately power is a fear issue. Most people that have this overwhelming need for power and control, they are very scared, fearful people on a deep level, and this artificial sense of power maybe takes away some of that fear from them. Sorry guys, I'm still getting over the sinus infection. So I've had a chance to be around quite a few politicians in Missouri. I've probably been around more politicians than most people have, and I'm not trying to lump every politician into the same group, but guys, by far the politicians that I've had arguments with and discussions with, more arguments than discussions, most of these people that have risen to positions of power within the whatever realm they are, whether politics, business, whatever, particularly politics, is they tend to be pretty weak people. They tend to be cowards that try to put on a false face. They tend to be narcissistic. They tend to lack any type of empathy. They tend to lack compassion on a real level. They may talk a good game. They may talk like they're empathetic and compassionate, but their actions don't show that at all. That's why I don't have a lot of respect for politicians. I don't have a respect for some, pasty-faced, politician out there that that basically says anything that their corporate donors wants them to say, expect me to believe it. I just don't. It's a joke, and it's obvious what's going on. But the problem that we have is we as a society tend to give those people power. Those people wouldn't have power if we didn't give it to them. And most of these people out there, like I said, 90% of these people out there that have power and an addiction to power, they don't deserve it. They do not deserve to have that power. And that power was given to them by a lot of different means. Most of them, a lot of those people out there, to some extent, they either inherited it, they become puppets of people that put them in the positions of power like that. They have stepped over bodies to get in that position of power. There's a lot of different ways people climb the ladder of power. But if you look at, take a look at, like I said, just people within this country over the past 5 or 6 years that have risen to power and how they got to that power, all you really have to do is look to the money to really see how that went to that point. But anyway, the point of this video, guys, I wanted to make is that, if we need leaders in every aspect in this country. We need leaders in the political arena. We need leaders in the business community. We need leaders in the scientific community. We need leaders, as far as our cultural, social well-being. And we need leaders that have integrity and have morals. And I don't mean morals in the traditional sense what people equate that. I'm talking about people that do the right thing. People that are motivated to do the right thing, even when somebody's not watching. People that are motivated to the right thing that have no other benefit to that other than to do the right thing. That's why one of the biggest problems you have with people that abuse power is they are in a position to have that power for a long period of time. That's why there needs to be term limits on politicians. There should be term limits on CEOs. There should be short term limits on Supreme Court justices. Anybody out there that is in a position of power should not have that power for a long period of time, because power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. And there's very few people that have the ability to use power responsible. And there's a lot, and the problem that you have is when you're trying to affect change in that arena, it's hard to ever affect change in that arena because people want the status quo. It's like, if you have somebody in the position of power on a political, point of view, and you want to make those particular changes, why is a politician going to pass legislation or vote for something that's going to undermine their own ability to maintain and control power? There's a few people that will, but there's not very many out there. So anyway, just a few wide-ranging thoughts here, guys. I've just seen that a lot the last few years. I've seen so many different abuses of power. I see one of the things, the most frustrating thing, this is sort of, I guess, more of a little rant here. One of the most frustrating things I see in our society is how people in positions of power get away with things that the average citizen can never do. There are people right now, there are politicians out there right now, everybody knows who I'm talking about, that have committed crimes that have been proven beyond any type of reasonable doubt, that are not held accountable for those crimes because of the positions of power they hold. The same crimes in, if you were just an average citizen that had no power beyond just being a citizen, you'd be locked up within a week about it. And it's the same in the business, politics, whatever out there. So, there's no easy fix to it. The only fix comes from awareness on there, and the only fix comes from education. And the more people get educated to the reality and the fact behind everything, then it becomes harder for these people that have stepped through this ladder and gained power that don't deserve it. It becomes harder for them to do that. And in this world that we live in right now of misinformation and disinformation, and the water's being muddied up all the time, we face a very difficult challenge. So ultimately, like I said, the only thing that's going to pull us out of this is education. The more we educate ourselves, the more we have diverse sources of education, back up that education by sourcing it, the better we are for everybody. So a few thoughts out there, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Much appreciated, and we'll talk to y'all later.